Quest 80, and Locomotors. Two lesser-known bus and coach chassis and bodybuilders that have been lost to history. But what exactly did they produce? This is the story of the public transport vehicles built by Quest 80 and Locomotors, and how their unique vehicles failed to gain a foothold in the bus and coach market. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the larger bus and coach manufacturers of past and present. But what about the smaller ones? What about the manufacturers that had small output or just didn't last all that long? Well, that's what we're going to look at in this video. We're going to take a look at two small manufacturers, namely Quest 80 and Locomotors. Now, Quest 80 was a company that built chassis for buses and trucks and trolley buses, and they also had a design consultancy. And Locomotors was mainly a bodybuilder. Now, at some point, these two companies merged, and they were building complete buses, and some of them were really odd and strange. And so we're going to take a look at those as well as the other products that they produced. So let's get started in taking an in-depth look at Quest 80 and Locomotors. Out of the countless bus and coach chassis manufacturers and bodybuilders of the UK, two of the smaller players were Quest 80 and Locomotors. Quest 80, based originally in Telford and later in Andover, had a short life, developing specialized bus, coach, and truck chassis for the UK and South Africa. Eventually, the company merged with bodybuilder Locomotors. According to its company profile, Quest 80 specialized in transport-related projects where there is high design input, but where the manufacturing volume is not substantial enough to attract large manufacturers. The company was established in 1979 by Richard Knowles, who was also its managing director, along with a group of engineers and designers. It had a development and drawing office along with a manufacturing center which employed 30 people. In 1980, the company built a prototype trolleybus chassis for Johannesburg, South Africa, in conjunction with the Sigma Power Company. It was the first trolleybus chassis built in the UK in 27 years. It entered service in 1982 as number 800 and later became number 801 and was withdrawn in 1985. In 1980, Quest 80 introduced a new advanced range of bus and coach chassis. The new designs incorporated Ford mechanical units and were the result of close collaboration between Quest and Ford. Despite the initial hype and optimism, Quest 80's products soon gained a poor reputation, not helped by some frankly hideous and unappealing bodywork and the bizarre U-drive arrangement adopted on many of them. Quest 80 manufactured four types of bus and coach chassis, which were: number 1, the B-type. This was an innovative but unsuccessful low-floor minibus, similar in concept to the later Dennis Dart, with a Perkins engine and an Allison gearbox. Only 7 were built, all with Locomotors bodies. Number 2, C and D type. These were both Ford 360 engine chassis. The C was available in 9, 11, and 12-meter lengths and was intended as a coach, and the D was a 33 or 35-seat minibus. 4 each of the C and D were built, variously bodied by Locomotors Reeve Burgess, Van Hool, and Jonquière. Number 3, the VM. These were the 20 coaches ordered in 1984 by Excelsior Holidays to a special design developed in collaboration with Excelsior's managing director Vernon Maitland and named the VM in his honor. They were plagued with reliability issues, there being a story that one driver ended up using 6 different VMs to complete his 7-day tour as they kept breaking down, and all were quickly disposed of after just 2 seasons. Number 4. The J-type. This was designed in conjunction with Jonquière, hence its name, as a base for their 37-seat Piccolo midi coach body, and was just about the most numerous model, with 26 chassis being built. Only the first 11 were completed as intended, and they were slow sellers as most were not registered until 1987, 2 years after Quest 80 had gone out of business. With this being an uncommon yet sought-after size of coach, the J-types were more desirable than other Quests, but the complex and unreliable U-drive was their main weakness. Out of all of Quest 80's PSV vehicles, the buses were the most unusual. As already stated, only 7 B-types were built. One bus, A365GAW, was a one-of-a-kind built, with a body by Locomotors for Ralph of Longford for shuttle services at Heathrow Airport. It had an off-side door, and the near side had 2 single panel doors, with the front door opening inward. The other 6 B-types, also bodied by Locomotors, were originally built for Merseyside PTE. These 23-seat minibuses were ordered for the transport of disabled visitors at the Liverpool Garden Festival, staged between May and October of 1984. The buses featured configurable seating for wheelchair accessibility and had a kneeling suspension. They also had near-side rear-mounted Perkins engines and chain drive. They arrived too late for the festival and saw little if any service on Merseyside. Preserved sole survivor C844OBG was numbered 0087, the last of the sextet, but was delivered registered B932KWM. In March of 2008, it was purchased by Andrew Miller of Foxton. In November of 2017, it was placed into long-term loan with the Merseyside Transport Trust. Some people may not find the body design aesthetically pleasing, but what it lacks in perceived style, it gains in build quality and practicality. For a steel-framed bus that was built over 40 years ago and has spent a fair proportion of its time sitting open to the elements, it required no structural restoration. Another plus has been the relative ease of sourcing mechanical parts, the axles and brakes being the same as that on the smaller Ford Cargo. The other odd-looking Quest 80 bus was actually the first Quest bus that was built, a D-type with a Reber body that demoed for a number of operators, including Nottingham Transport. In about 1985, Quest 80 closed their operations. The roots of Locomotors goes back much further than Quest. Founded in 1922 as the Hovis Coachworks, the company expanded into the specialist vehicles market, becoming one of Britain's largest and most respected suppliers of fire engines and other specifically adapted transport. The company ran through several changes of hands before a management buyout in 1987 made the business an independent concern. But the business faced difficulties in the wake of the currency and interest fluctuations of Black Wednesday. In December of 1992, receivers were brought in to try and sell the business. They were unsuccessful, and so the vehicle manufacturer permanently closed its doors in March of 1993. So, there it is, the story of Quest 80 and Locomotors. Now, according to the website Bus Lists on the Web, Quest 80 built a total of 73 buses and coaches, and some of them were built specifically for export to countries such as South Africa, Ireland, Turkey, and Cyprus. Now, one of the most unusual aspects to these buses, especially the B and D type, was their bodywork. So what do people think of them? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Because their aesthetics are something that's definitely different than most other buses. And if you have any experience riding in a Quest 80 bus, let us know, because that would be interesting to hear about. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at Quest 80 and Locomotors. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.